Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Today, I'll be talking to Terry Harden. He'll be telling me about his weight loss journey. He's a husband, he's a father who decided to change things around. He was seriously obese, and he said, "I've had enough. I need to take my life on a different journey." Looking at his kids, he realized that if he could make this commitment, he'll be able to enjoy the little things that most people take for granted when they're not obese. Here are some key facts on being obese. Worldwide, WHO estimates that obesity has nearly tripled since 1975. In 2016, more than 1.9 billion adults 18 years and over were overweight. And not just that, what is critical and really something we must all understand is that obesity is preventable. We can all prevent it. But to do such, we need to change our mind. We need to be consistent, and we need to want to change that. Here is someone who we'll be talking to shortly. They'll be telling us about his journey and why he decided to make that choice and say, enough is enough. I'm ready to make that change. And who motivated him to do that? Meet Terry Harden.
I invested too much to quit. I made too many sacrifices to give up.
You gotta tell life, I don't know who you've been dealing with, but you ain't dealt with me.
I got my son and my daughter counting on me. I got a world that gets up every morning and watches me.
We have seen defeat. We've looked defeat in the face, and we've overcome it. We've come too far to give up now. We've come too far to be negative now. We've come too far to start overthinking now.
So when life happens, I don't just sit there and cry. I buck back. I buck back. You gotta tell life, I don't know who you've been dealing with, but you ain't dealt with me.
Welcome to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. I have Terry Harden here with me. Today we'll be talking about weight loss pain. I think there's a reason why some of us are motivated to lose weight, why others are still struggling with that journey. Terry will be telling us about his journey, the reason he needed to do this, and pain he had to go through to overcome that challenge. Terry, thank you so much for joining me. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, great. And where are you joining me from? What
I'm
part?
actually located here in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, wonderful. We saw your post, and we started following, going through your page. One of the things that really struck us is your weight loss journey, and you had a purpose to do it. But before we go on that journey, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you, Terry?
Yes, ma'am. So Terry Harden here, Columbus, Ohio. I am a married husband and father of 3 beautiful children. I have a daughter that's 7. My middle child is a daughter that is 5. And I lucked up, my third one was a son, and he goes by T3, but his name is Terry the Third.
Oh, wonderful. I think it's a very American thing. When every American I notice always has the junior or the third. Yeah, well, that's beautiful. Yeah. So, your weight loss journey. When did you start noticing that you were slightly on the bigger side compared to the others of your peers?
I'll probably say as a child, usually about middle school is when I hit the obese, or when I was shopping in the Husky section as a kid. I was always wondering why I had to go to the Husky section and not necessarily the little boy section, like everyone else. So I've been a bigger child the majority of my life, and just got used to being bigger. You know, I thought it was normal for me to be a little bit bigger. I didn't realize the toll it had took on my body until I got a little bit older. But as a kid, I grew up where, hey, you got to finish everything on your plate. You eat everything. You don't waste a drop. And I didn't waste a drop.
It, I struggle with that as well because as I have a son as well, and my son, I keep telling him to eat everything because I'm like, go on, you have to put some meat on yourself. You need to eat more, but he just can't. And I'm like, okay, how do you balance that? Yeah, when you look back at your life with the whole thing this caused you, what is your relationship now with food? Thinking
Oh,
about thinking about what the challenges is put you through. What's your relationship with food
you
now?
got it. Completely different. I'll tell you, I didn't realize the relationship I had with food. Here, everything is surrounded with food, right? Every occasion, every birthday party, every get together, hanging out with your friends, it's all related to let's go out and grab a bite to eat. Let's go get something to eat. Let's throw a party and, cook some food. So it's pretty common to eat a lot. I didn't realize the relationship I had with food, honestly, until I started my official weight loss journey in November of 2019. So almost 34 years old is when I realized, wow, I have a relationship with food that I was unaware of.
Did being overweight, did it cause you any difficulties, any challenge at all? Like I was
Um,
traveling on getting on, if you had to get in on the bus, if you had to get on one, or even being in the supermarket. I've seen eyes that are so close to each other. Have you ever noticed, or because you were born with it, so you had it from a small age? Did you ever notice any difference with being overweight?
well, you know what? I still had challenges. While I felt that I was happy with who I was, and I didn't let the weight stop me. I'll tell you, there's a lot of challenges that I had to go through. I mean, you mentioned getting on, public transportation. For me, it was riding an airplane. That was when I really would cringe knowing I had to get on an airplane and know that I could not fit in a regular seat. It was almost embarrassing to me. And I would say I would forget that I was big until it was time to get on an airplane, or it was time for me to go shopping for clothes. At my heaviest, I was wearing a 4XL, sometimes 5XL shirt in size 52 pants. So I couldn't just walk in your normal store to get clothing. I had to go to a big and tall store, or a JC Penney's or somewhere that carried a big and tall line in order for me to be comfortable and find clothes. And even then, the clothes were not the stylish clothes that I would love to wear. And I consider myself a stylish guy when I can, but I was very limited when it came to clothing. So those are times and moments that I had where I truly, it was tough, and it was to the point where I would be overwhelmed, thinking like I have to go buy something new, or where am I going to find something quickly, because I had to order everything, or I had to hope that they would have something in my size at the time, and it was troubling.
What about your health? How was your health dealing with being obese? Because one of the things with the pandemic, as you've seen, the feedback has been that a lot of people who were overweight were mostly affected by the coronavirus. With you, when you were overweight, did you feel your health suffer or depreciate in any way, or you were used to as
So
healthy and fit as you could be?
here goes the joy or the benefit of it is I was fortunate enough to where I did not have any underlying health conditions. High cholesterol was probably one, and that was typically just based off of the food that I was putting in my body, because I wasn't knowledgeable of the food that I was putting in my body. I didn't know. I would eat just to eat. I would eat because I was bored. I would eat because I was hanging out with my buddies and we wanted to grab some food and some drinks. I didn't eat for a purpose. I just ate for fun. So once I became knowledgeable of it, it completely blew my mind that I can control how I look. I can control how healthy I am by the decisions I make and by the food that I ingest myself. So during the pandemic, it actually was good for me, because at that point in time, I had already changed my mindset. And the benefit was not only did I change my mindset, I was able to change the mindset of my family here in this house with me. And I allow my kids to be kids. They still have certain snacks, and I don't completely eliminate everything from them. But we're just making better health choices as a family. And we didn't suffer from the pandemic of gaining weight. I'll tell you, my wife and I, we lost weight during the pandemic, which has been a blessing.
Wow, that's amazing. I think a lot of people suffered the other way around. A lot of people put on weight because they were not doing anything, they were not going out, they were constantly at home. But when did that aha moment hit you? When did you realize, enough, I need to change things around? This can't go in anymore.
Yes, ma'am. So I would tell you, having children, it opened my eyes a little bit. I'll say it was cracked. It wasn't fully open. I knew as a parent, I wanted to be around for my kids. Being a parent is really important to me. I love being a father. I love, watching the joy and smile I bring to my children. I love being able to run and play with them. So my kids, they really opened my eyes. It was not until, I'll tell you, the summer of 2019, I was hanging out with a buddy of mine, and I think we went to go grab lunch. So we were on lunch together, and I must have been eating pretty good, because he looked over at me and he had a serious moment. He's like, "Hey man, I care about you." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks." Not thinking too much of it. And he said, I don't want you to kill yourself by overeating. And at that moment, I had never thought about death being related to me overeating, or even me overeating being an addiction. So in that moment, I literally was like, I can't die. I have kids. I have a family. I have a wife to live for. So it stuck with me at that moment. I'm like, wow, what do I do? And it was a tough thought to really, truly swallow. But at that moment, I came home that day and I scheduled a doctor's appointment. I hadn't been to the doctor in years. I just was like, you know what, if something happens, I'll go to the doctor, but I was not going to the doctor. So I scheduled a doctor's appointment. In November of 2019, I got on the scale and I saw 430 pounds. That moment for me was life changing. To see that number, to me was, I see TV shows. I watch My 600-Pound Life. I see a lot of overweight, and I didn't relate it to myself. So seeing the number on the scale, it woke me up, and I said, I got to live, and I got to live for my family. So it sparked something for me to say, you know what? Today is going to be the day that I'm going to change my life, not just for myself, but for my family, for the people around me. So at that point, it literally was like a switch went off and I said, I want to live.
Wow. Was it challenging? Was it difficult? Because I know a lot of people, I've talked to so many people and they've had this moment when they realize it doesn't matter what it is. It could be someone grumpy about them losing their job. It could be someone talking about chronic illness. It could be someone weight loss journey. You get this aha moment. Now it's a matter of putting the motion in place, doing the job, actually doing it. Tell us the journey of actually doing it, because I think anyone listening today, when the video comes out, will be really keen on knowing when you got
You
that.
got it. Yeah. So I would tell you the first step, I had to start thinking about what I was doing, right? Because so often I was just in motion. So the very first step I took was I said, I want to start drinking more water. I knew I should have been drinking more water, but I didn't, right? So I said, I got to start drinking more water. So I made it a point to say, I'm going to get through a gallon of water a day. So that was my first thing. I said, let me get a gallon of water a day. And then I said, I got to work out, right? I've kind of yo-yo dieted my entire life. So I knew what it take to get a few pounds off. I just was never consistent with it. So I told myself, okay, I'm making up excuses where I don't have time to work out because I have a family. But I said, I get lunch breaks at work. That's a perfect opportunity for me to go work out. So I joined a gym that was maybe 2 minutes down the road from my job. And I said, I'm going to start working out. Now, mind you, I didn't know all the workouts to do, but I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to do something. So I got on the treadmill and that was really what I stuck with. I didn't do anything else other than get on the treadmill for about 30 to 45 minutes when I first started on an incline. And I said, if nothing else, I'll get my body moving. So every day, minus the weekends, I went Monday through Friday. I committed to going to the gym. I started feeling better. And I said, you know what? I want to keep it off for a long time. So I started looking up things and saying, how can I make it a lifelong change? Not just to where I lose weight now and I gain it back in a month. What can I do? Well, it's very interesting how God places certain people in your life, because I had an opportunity to be presented by one of my friends, and he had started losing weight. I had no idea what he did, and had a conversation. He said I had VSG, and I'm like, what is that? Well, I found out it was a weight loss surgery. Mind you, I'd heard about things like that, but had never, thought about it. And to be completely transparent with you, I always thought, oh, that's the easy way out. You get surgery they suck out all your weight and you're good to go. Well, that wasn't the case. And I started doing my own research and finding out what it was. And I went through a weight management program. So mind you, I was still working out. I drank water. I started eating healthier vegetables and berries because I knew that worked for me. And then I scheduled an appointment with the weight management program, and they set me up with an actual nutritionist. That was another piece that I would tell you was very important in my journey. Was at that moment I learned how to read labels. I see the labels on foods, never looked at them, never looked at sugars, never looked at carbs or fats or anything like that. They taught me how to read labels. So it's knowledge. I became knowledgeable on the things that I was putting on my body. I became knowledgeable on what was good versus what was bad, right? And I learned how to eat better. But then I came home and I shared it with my family, and they were supportive. I tell you, my wife has been my biggest fan when it comes to pushing me through my journey, because she was preparing the food that we were eating, the fried, pork chops and everything, fried chicken and everything that we were probably eating. And once she saw that it was clear that I wanted to make a change like this, she started supporting it and making sure that we had healthier options and preparing them. So that was the first important piece, was being knowledgeable of the things that I was putting in my body, but then going after and making sure that we were setting us up to succeed, not to fail by having snacks in the house. So that was very important.
You said something very crucial here, and about knowledge. Do you think there's a gap with the ethnic minority generation understanding or taking that point to understand what we eat? Because I think sometimes I see my mother, for example, this she will never cross her mind to try and understand what is in her food as long as it's tasty. Do you think there's a gap in that knowledge of understanding the food we eat?
Absolutely. I think to me, there's no knowledge of it. If you completely ask me, we eat again socially in our household or in my family. It's always been, again, whether it's a birthday party, a family reunion, we find a reason to eat. And we're not educated on, all the sugar we're pouring in these candy yams and things that we enjoy and that we love. And how it affects our body, how it truly affects and turns into fat, or how it affects, to be honest with you, your heart. I didn't realize the weight pulls on your organs and can, add extra stress to my heart and my everyday moving, because I wasn't knowledgeable of it. Once I became knowledgeable, I became powerful. I became powerful in the sense that now I could control the outcome of how my body is, right? It wasn't an overnight process by any means, but I knew that if I took the right steps to correct the years of wrong that I had gone through, it was possible. And it took weeks, right, before other people started to notice, but I knew for myself, whether somebody saw the look of me or not, internally is what I wanted to fix. And that was, to me, more important than looking good. It was internally, how do I make sure that I'm healthy so that I can live and be around for a long time?
Sure, that is. And how has that changed your household in terms of now you've lost not a little, you've lost a lot of weight and you're looking very, very good, looking very strong and healthy. How has that
Thank you.
inspired your kids and your family, your wife, your kids? How has that inspired them? Have you involved them in this process? Are they playing sports with you? Are you able to play with them? Are you able to lift them up and how are you enjoying the newfound freedom?
It is life changing. It is so life changing. I tell you what, my son is 2, so he literally would chase me around the house, and we're going for laps. We're moving around, and I'm not tired, and I'm chasing him down, and that feeling just feels good. My wife changed her diet up and has lost weight as well, and I tell you, the confidence that it has added in her life, to me, it's amazing, right? I don't have to worry about her saying, I don't like this outfit. Now, every now and again, she may ask for my advice. But prior to it was, I don't like the way this looks or the way it feels. Now she's getting dressed with confidence. She's feeling a little bit better on the inside. My kids, I'll tell you, my oldest one, a little harder to change at 7 years old because she's been eating, a certain way. But my 5-year-old, I mean, she's watched me. She really is a daddy's girl. So whatever I do, she wants to do. So if I'm eating salad, she's eating salad. So it's starting to change the way that they're eating. My 2-year-old son loves salad, loves vegetables and carrots. And so it's the things that maybe I wasn't giving them because I wasn't knowledgeable that now they find joy in. And it's become a staple around our household to eat healthier, right? They make jokes because I'm like, look, are we eating broccoli or broccoli tots? What vegetable are you wanting? Because we're eating a vegetable. You pick, right? I'll give you an option between the vegetables. And they'll, okay, I'd rather have broccoli. I'd rather have carrots. I'd rather have this. But they know we're going to eat something healthy, day to day. And they know why, right? My youngest says, Daddy, I remember you were this big. And, she points her head up. She's like, now you're this big. You're skinny, Daddy, right? And it's fun to watch. And somebody wrote me on Instagram the other day and they said, you know what? Your son will never remember you as a big guy. And I didn't think about that, but I'm like, how amazing is it to know that he'll be able to have a dad that has been there to play with him, to throw the football, to do all of the joys that a kid can do with their father and remember it, from the time that he was a kid. So that, to me, that inspires me to keep going.
That is truly, I just can't believe that you did this. Your message of hope. And our final question is a message of hope. So many people in your shoes, your previous shoe, not your shoe right now, because this is amazing transformation. And they are struggling, Terry. They are asking themselves, how do I make this change? And that, when I mean change, I mean not just weight loss change, but yours was that weight loss journey. What message would you give someone who's really struggling and saying every day is tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow? Every day they keep pushing it on. They just can't get that energy. They can't just get that in them to do it. They don't have their kids to motivate them. They don't have family. What would you say to someone who really needs that change but just don't have it in them to do it?
Yes, ma'am. What I would tell them is I'm rooting for you is the first thing I would tell you. In life, we're going to have challenges. We're going to go through certain things, but I would say there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I share my journey to hopefully inspire others, not just in the weight loss community, but just in general. If you put your mind to it, if you become knowledgeable, I spoke on being knowledgeable of food, but that's knowledgeable in anything in life and anything that you're going through. When you know better, you do better is what I like to say. So I challenge anyone that is struggling or going through something. First off, for me, everything falls in God, right? I pray to God. I ask God to guide me on my journey. So I say start with some type of prayer, and allow God to help you get through it. If you're not religious and you don't have God, find your why. What is your why? Why do you want to change, or what is it? And use that to motivate you and push you. Mine was my family, right? That was my why. So as I was thinking about, I don't want to go to the gym, or, I don't want to do this, I thought about my why. It's so much bigger than me. My journey affects my wife. It affects my kids. But for somebody else, they may have a different why. So figure out what your why is and use that to motivate you. And then also realize nobody's journey is perfect. Even if you start a journey, you may make mistakes, and that's okay. The joy about life is you get an opportunity at any given time to start over, but you got to start over. Just make sure that you find your why, you pray about it, you keep pushing through, and don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake. At the end of the day, all you can do is try and push yourself forward. So I'm rooting for anybody on any journey. My actual hashtag this year has been keep inspiring, because my job is not just with weight loss. I want to inspire people to just be the best you, and enjoy life. We've seen with this pandemic, life has changed. It's altered a lot of the things we do on a day to day. So I tell you, if nothing else, when I leave this earth, at some point, I want people to remember how much I inspired them. I want them to remember that if nothing else, I loved my family. If nothing else, I'm rooting for everybody that's on their journey.
Wow. Thank you so much, Terry. This is really, truly amazing. You have touched on something so sensitive to so many, and you've said it in a very calming, relaxing way to make it easier. As people who are nervous about talking about their weight loss journey, who have been trying for many years. I know so many people they've tried for many, many years, and they just can't seem to get that moment. And you did it. And I think anyone who's suffering or who's in that hardship position trying to figure out what to do, they should contact your Instagram page, because I think you really communicate that message, and you're very honest and transparent. You show the before and you show the after picture for anyone to see it. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much, Terry.
Thank you. I appreciate the time that you took with me today, and I'm rooting for everybody. So thank you very much for what you do and using your platform to help inspire. So keep inspiring.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.